Hello, I'm Liviu Bălan, and today I will speak about Apache VirtualHost basic directives. You will learn what these directives means and how you can change their value in order to suit your needs. This tutorial is not about how to install Apache or how to define a virtual host. If you want to learn more about this, you can check out my tutorials on YouTube and also visit my website liviubalan.com. So let's get started. First, in order to change an already defined Apache virtual host, I will connect to my virtual machine, and for this I will open a terminal and type ssh ubuntu vm. Here I will edit an already defined file http://liviubalan.com.conf. Remember that you will have to use the sudo rights, and in this file I will erase the content and I will copy and paste this string. As you can see, this is the defining of a virtual host with some basic directives. For each directive that I used, here is a comment about what this directive is doing. First is the directive virtual host. This directive contains directives that apply only to a specific hostname or IP address. The syntax for this directive is virtualhost and then an IP address and a port, because this virtualhost will be for all IPs and will use the default 80 port for Apache HTTP web server. The syntax is this one. Next, as you can see, inside of the virtual host directives, there are some directives that define the virtual host. As you can see, for each directive that I've used here, an optional or required string is specified. This required or optional string is not forced by the Apache web server. This is a personal opinion of mine, because if you want to define a stable virtual host, you will have to specify the required directives that I write it here. So the first directive here is the ServerAdmin. This directive is optional, and from time and in time, this directive became obsolete in Apache. But I encourage you to use it and specify here the email for the server admin that will manage this Apache web server. If you have PHP installed on your web server, you can get this value using using the variable _server, and in this array you will use the ServerAdmin key. Let's make a test. First, save the content of this file, and in order to apply the changes to your virtual host, type sudo service apache2 restart. Now I will open a web browser, Mozilla Firefox in my case, and here I will type http://livybalan.com. As you can see here, I'm having a PHP info function, and if I search here the ServerAdmin key, sorry, ServerAdmin like this one, you will find this value here on the Apache environment, and also you can find it here on the _server PHP variable. Now, if I comment this option, save it, open another tab, connect using SSH Ubuntu VM, and here if I type sudo service Apache 2 restart, now if I refresh again and search for ServerAdmin, you will see that no address is given, but no error on Apache restarting. So I encourage you to use this directive, even if I consider that is optional. And let's go to the next directive. The next one I consider that is required, and base domain should is the base domain that should match for the virtual host. This will most likely be your domain, usually without www. So in my case, the server name is http://livybalan.com, and the reason that you are able to see this this virtual host is because if I go to my local operating system and type sudo vi htc hosts, here, as you can see, there is a matching between the IP of the virtual machine and the domain that I want to use. So always use this directive, ServerName. Another directive is ServerAlias, and this is optional. This directive defines future names that should match as if they were the base name. This is useful for matching hosts you define, like www. Now, if I comment this ServerAlias, save it, restart the Apache web server, and let's go, let's say, to www.http://livybalan.com. You will see the default virtual host, because I am using the mapping here on my local operating system to my IP address of my virtual machine. But if I go here on my VirtualHost config file and remove the comment for this line, now if I restart my Apache web server, if I refresh the button, you will see the same content. This is because www.http://livybalan.com is an alias for http://livybalan.com. Remember that on the server alias you can use also regular expressions, like here. So here, test.com will represent an alias for http.livyubalan.com, and also all the subdomains for test.com will represent an alias for http.livyubalan.com. If I save this file and open another tab, remember that I didn't restart my Apache web server. So here on test.com I'm seeing the default virtual host, because here I'm using test.com. And if I go to www.test.com, I'm seeing the default virtual host. And also if I go to http.livyubalan.com, http.test.com, I'm seeing the default host. This is because test.com, www.test.com and http.test.com are defined inside my host file. Now, if I restart my Apache web server and refresh the content here, as you can see, the same content is shown on all the pages. This is because the ServerAlias is now specified for test.com and the subdomains for test.com. Okay, another required directive is the DocumentRoot. This directive sets the directory from which Apache will serve files. For example, if you specify the document root usr/web, an access to http http://myexample.com/index refers to the document root, which means usr/web, and then the file name, which is index.html. The document root should be specified without a trailing slash. So in my case, the document root is http://livyubalan.com, and if I go to this directory, you will see the index.html file, which will be served when you enter on the URL address. Now, if I make another file, let's say now if I go to index.php, and here if I type, let's say test, now if I refresh the page, see that the test appears, because this is the file that will be served by the Apache web server. Let's write and quit, and let's go to the next directive. The next two directives are related and refers to logging errors, or refers to logging the errors or the requests. The first one, ErrorLog, is required and specifies the location where the server will log errors. For example, If I go back to my index.php, and here if I put, for example, A, this will give you an error, and this error should be logged in a file. By default, in this case, when you log files, the errors, when you log errors, the error will be logged inside your Apache log directory, which is var log apache 2, and in this inside of this directory we'll write the errors inside of error.log. Now if I connect it to my machine, to my virtual machine using SSH Ubuntu VM, and go to var log apache 2, you can see the error log here. Now if I use tail -f and then error log file, now if I refresh this page, you will see a blank page and the error is logged here. The problem with this approach is that if I go to another virtual host that is defined on this web server and do the same steps again, a page with an error, the same error will be logged here also. For example, if I go to wp.livybalance.com, which is a virtual host for a WordPress CMS, and if I open this page, you will see no error here because the CMS doesn't have any errors for now. But if I go to index.php, and here if I will put an A, for example, refresh the page, you will see that the error here is written in the same file. The reason is that both virtual hosts have the same error log file. In order to avoid this, and in order to save some time when you are making some debugging, I encourage you to use a specific file for your virtual host, or a specific log file for your virtual host that you defined. So a good idea will be to save the error log, to save the error inside a different error log file, and this file will be located in var log apache 2, then the name, the server name, then dash, then the port you are using, and then error log. The format here is a convention that I encourage you to use, but it's up to you how you name your virtual host error log file. So if I use a specific error log file, save the changes and restart the Apache web server. Now if I restart the page here on http.livybalance.com, you will see that no data is written here. This is because the errors will be written inside of http://80-error.log. So if I use tail -f http://80-error.log, and if I refresh the page again, you will see the errors here. Now, another approach, this approach is very useful if you have your virtual host, virtual hosts. It is very useful if you have different virtual hosts that are using different ports for the same server name or server aliases. If you use, like me in this case, a single virtual host for a single server name and server alias, you can change the format of your error logs like this one. So var log Apache 2, then you will use the server name and then -error.log. If I save and restart the Apache web server, now you will see that http://livybalance.com-error.log were created, and if I use tail -f http://livybalance.com-error.log, now if I refresh the page again, you'll see the changes, you'll see the errors here. Okay. Now, because I've shown you how the error works, I will remove the A and go to http://livybalance.com to index.php and do the same steps again. Okay, another useful directive is the CustomLog directive. In my opinion, this is required, and what this directive is doing is to log requests to the server. The syntax, so whenever you make a request to the Apache web server, the Apache will log that request inside of this file. So inside your Apache log directory, you will find this access log file. Now, I'm inside of my Apache 2 directory, and as you can see here is the access log. Now, if I use tail -f access log, and refresh this page, you will see that whenever you make a request, a new entry is written here. Same for wp.livybalance.com VirtualHost. As here on the ErrorLog directive, the problem is that if you use this approach, even if you have different virtual hosts, all the requests are written in the same file, which it makes very hard for debugging. As you can see, the CustomLog directive has the following syntax. The first one is the log location, which is this one, and next space and then log format. The combined format is an internal Apache specification which you can find inside of ATC Apache 2 apache2.conf. If I copy this command, paste it here, and inside of this file, if I search for combined, you can see the combined format here. If you want to learn more about what these formats are doing, you can check out this URL. If I go to my web browser and type this URL, you can see here what the formats are doing. As you can see here, you have some data which is written here, separated by spaces, and this one are written inside your access log. Like on the error log, I encourage you to change the file where the requests are written. So if I use for custom log var log apache 2 http://livyubalan.com -80 port -access log and the combined format, if I restart my Apache web server, now if I use tail -f http://livyubalan.com port 80 access log, if I go to http://livyubalan.com and refresh the page, you will see that the requests are written here. But if I go to the wp.livyubalan.com virtual host, you will see that the data isn't written here, because the data, the requests here, are written inside of access log file inside of var log apache 2. If you want to convince yourself, you can type tail -f var log apache 2 access log. Refresh here on wp.livyubalan.com, and these are the requests which came from wp.livyubalan.com. If I go to http://livyubalan.com, see that no requests are written here, but instead are written here on the file that I specified last time. If you use the same, if you don't have different ports for the same server name, you can use this format, var log apache 2 http://livyubalan.com -access.log. Right and quit, restart the Apache web server, and here you will find this file. If I type tail -f http://livyubalan.com -apache -access.log. Now if I restart http://livyubalan.com, you will see the requests here. So these are the basics directives that you will use when you define a virtual host, and this is how you can change them in order to suit your needs. If you want to learn more about Apache, about Ubuntu, about web technologies, you can check out my tutorials on YouTube and also visit my website liviubalan.com. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.